question that we've been asked is, why are some invoices deletable while others are not? To do that, what I've done is, in this matter, I've created 4 invoices, and let's follow through the life cycle of these invoices and look at how the Law Society guidelines is towards deletion of these invoices. So the first invoice was created on August 2020. So that was, as you see here, an invoice of about $665. The $100 was disbursement. Legal fee was about $565, and if you notice here, that was actually, there was a trust transfer that was done to recover the entire amount. So from trust, everything has been paid, right? And the balance is zero. This is an invoice that we should not be allowing to delete. Let's see if uLaw allows you to delete that. So if I click on the action button, go to delete invoice, and I choose that deletion, what uLaw will do is it will calculate and say, hey, you've already done the trust transfer, you can't do anything with that invoice. Let's come to the next invoice. The next invoice is a funny invoice. There's an invoice of about $542.40. However, the client paid only $400. So that means he has a balance of $142 that he has to pay. Let's try and delete that invoice. So now the problem with that invoice is you cannot delete it because the client has partially paid you for that invoice. So if you try and delete that invoice, uLaw will try and go and say, hey, this invoice is also partially paid, so you cannot, delete that invoice. As you see here, it clearly understood that partially that invoice was paid as well. Now let's look at the third invoice, which is $813.16. You decided that the client is never going to pay such a high invoice, and you completely write it. You did a write-off for that. Now, if you try and delete that invoice, right, what uLaw is going to tell you is, hey, that invoice is also paid off. Because write-off is like a payoff. Basically, you raised an invoice and then you said, hey, the client owes you nothing, and you basically discounted off that entire invoice. So that's going to tell you that you cannot delete that either. That brings us to the last and final invoice, which is $226 that we just raised, and no payment has been made because the balance is far higher than that. You should be able to completely delete that. For example, now, if I go and edit this amount, I can say, hey, this invoice is already docketed. But if I go here and I try to delete that invoice and make some amendments, I should be able to do that. Now you can release the docket, delete the posting, and close this panel. Now, as you see here, it's available, and you can now change that to maybe an hour of legal fee, because that client meeting was not half an hour. Now, what you can do is you can go ahead and raise that invoice. Now you will see that uLaw would raise a brand new invoice, nullify that one, and go ahead. So, as you see, based on the Law Society's guidelines on trust and accounting principles in general, uLaw will allow you to delete invoices. This will basically reduce errors by huge margin. In fact, it will not even allow you to have any errors in your trust and your general account. Compliance is key for us, and that's why we do a lot of measure with respect to deleting of invoices. So to summarize, as you saw in our video here, right? We raised so many invoices, and the only invoice we were allowed to delete was the 3412, because that was the only one that was not partially paid by a trust transfer or by a write-off or by a client payment. So again, now if I just try and delete it again, it's saying nothing to do. Right now, the only invoice that will allow you to delete is this top invoice, because that one is still pending and nothing has